Hello there, everybody. This is Bull Allen. This is People to Be Heard, the program where people who have something to say have their say. Tonight, in the press box, we have Johnny Johnny Vorperian, the host of Beyond the Game on White Plains Television, and we're here to talk about the only really relevant matter these days, baseball. Welcome. Welcome again.
Thank you, Bull. It's a pleasure to be here on the show with you and to talk about baseball.
The only thing worth talking about is it matters.
It doesn't matter. You can forget about what's going on in Washington or New York City.
Absolutely.
It's what goes on in the Diamond game. And this past World Series has just been a fantastic event.
It was a delight. It really was. But let's look at the season 2. We'll hit the series in due course. But what did you think of it was the 2017 baseball season. What did you think of the season?
I think it was the crescendo to Billy Beane, Moneyball, sabermetrics. That is what I look at the 2017 season. It's no wonder that the LA Dodgers represented the NL, and the American League was headed up by the Houston Astros, two teams that have embraced quantitative methods and baseball.
Yes, relentless. Relentless and dedicated to it.
Yep.
And how do you feel their statistic analysis affected the World Series win?
I think we saw it with both teams embracing. I mean, take a look at the Dodgers. I was partial because of my ties with the Jackie Robinson Project and the Brooklyn Dodgers, looking at that club. The current GM, GM is Farhan Sadi, one of two Muslim executives in Major League Baseball, a holder of a quantitative degree from MIT, undergraduate, and then a PhD, a doctorate in philosophy and economics, UCal Berkeley, and someone who, as we saw actually in game, I mean, there was Peterson out in the outfield looking at his wristband, which had the card as to where he was positioned. So this whole
like quarterbacks
shifting,
with plays.
Yeah, the shifting of your fielders to get in place so you could shut down hitters.
Yes, and great catches were made because of that.
Yeah, because they were in the neighborhood to do so.
Yes, in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Well, they always used to do that, but they do a scorecard.
Yeah, and also a salute to Sports Illustrated. Usually when you're on the cover, it's a jinx. But
it's been broken.
2014, it's broken because they had see your 2017 World Series winners, Houston Astros, and again another team utilizing sabermetrics. So
breaking the Sports Illustrated jinx, one of the hallowed traditions. One thing you don't want to be is ever featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated when you're coming up for a big series.
Right, you can tell that for Justin Turner, who appeared on one regional cover this week, and I still haven't seen the stats for the Houston Astros and that regional cover of SI, but we know that George Springer, the World Series MVP, was on neither cover. So but there's been a crack in the superstition column of SI.
Well, baseball is just wrought with superstition. But on the other hand, if you are superstitious, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
On the other hand, guys are wearing 13 are just asking for it.
As the late Ralph Branca mentioned to me.
Right. Well, Ralph Branca, as you well know with your great interviews on the Echoing Green book with that author, that was stolen signs, which baseball doesn't like to talk about, but they should absolutely posthumously kick Leo DeRocher out of the Hall of Fame if he's in there. I don't know if he is or not. And it basically reprimand the franchise or something. Take the World Championship away. I was stunned about that because also, when Dressen kept bringing in Branca and having Branca not taken deep in the. Well, we digress.
Yes,
That's the great thing about baseball.
No, but you're right, John, because it circles back to this season because the Boston Red Sox and New York Yankees this year had a back and forth as to the stealing of signs, and oh no, you're stealing signs. So,
well,
some things never change.
Well, there is so much involved because if you hit the World Series or have a good job and do a good job in the playoffs, the season tickets swell.
Well, yeah.
And it's all about selling yourself for next year. But one thing that got me about 2017, I thought it was a great season. And why was it great? There were no really bad teams. Anybody could beat anybody on any given series.
Right.
And baseball is very hard to establish form, even though statistics, refined to the most minutest item can do it. But there's always the human factor in baseball. It's such an individual sport. You have to have heart, as Mel Allen, my brother.
Yeah.
Right. But you have to have heart. It takes heart.
Yeah.
Great book by Mel years ago. But I thought it was a great season. Everybody was balanced. There were good pennant races, and there was interest in it. Now, what did you feel about the wild card this year? Was it a good thing, or was it a bad thing?
Yes, probing questions, Bull, and
we always ask the tough questions.
That's a tough question.
Right.
I'm a baseball purist. I would love to go back to the days of whoever ends the season with the best record year in the World Series. I know that'll never happen in my lifetime again, or your lifetime, because of the revenue streams that are needed for playoffs and wild cards. Okay, it was good. I mean, look, this was exciting for so many cities. I'm glad that Houston came away with the championship. That should help the emotional spirits of Texans dealing with the aftermath of the flood. But, geez, it could have been the Cubs this year. It could have been the Cleveland Indians.
The Cleveland Indians having a horrendous problem. Either the Yankees scouted them really well, or they did not scout the Yankees intelligently.
Yeah.
The Yankees beat a couple of really good pitchers.
Yeah.
To take it out, but then the Yankees ran into a much more sophisticated operation in the Houston Astros.
Yeah.
But still, they could have done it.
Yeah.
They could have done it. And they were close games.
They were.
The 6th and the 7th games. But once again, I always say, you got to hit it to win it.
They
did not hit.
But as a whole, they did hit it, because take a look at the number. If you look at the number of home runs whacked in the postseason, 104. That's amazing as to
hitters must be stronger and better, don't you think? Couldn't have anything to do with the ball.
Well, wait a minute. I could have sworn I saw
baseball tells us they haven't fixed the ball.
They haven't fixed the ball, but I thought there was some pre-game World Series where both shows where both pitchers, Dodgers and Stros, were saying something about the ball being slick, the ball feeling different.
Tight seams, very close down seams, which eliminates very. Here's a ball.
Yeah.
From 1972, a foul ball.
Well, and I bet you these seams are a lot more raised than what was being tossed in Chevis Ravine or at Minute Maid Park this year.
Yes, but I mean that I hadn't realized that, but I mean there it is, and the only foul ball I ever got, but it was an amazing moment in my life. I still remember it, and I caught it by accident. 25 people raced for the ball in the upper deck, and they knock it all around. It rolls right behind my seat, and I reach back and pick it up.
Beautiful.
Yes, it was a great time. But the home run thing, my feeling about the home runs is they are creating a situation, where the pitchers are mismatched. They have to either have more pitches or resort shall we say, creative pitches.
You mean
Spitballs. Now, why did the Yankees hit so poorly in Houston? Very humid climate. The ball was at least moist. The pitchers had a real advantage down there. And when a ball is heavy, it does not, it dips more. It has more movement to it. I always felt the knuckleball had a great deal. And to do that, and I saw Lou Burdett beat the Yankees in the second game of the 1957 series in person, and that guy was throwing them low.
Yeah.
And they did not up. The only ball he threw up all day was one chance hit that Covington speared in left field. An incredible catch.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy is in left center. He goes all the way to the left field line with his long legs, makes one of the greatest catches of series history. Backhander. But that's the point, is that you pitch low, you give them junk, they can't drive it because they're always got the upcut and they like it right here. So pitching curveballs to those guys and or sliders and making a mistake with them is disastrous.
Yeah.
But so anyway, they put the ball where they wanted it, I guess. But that series, extremely close games. The absolute Donnybrook 13-12 game. I mean, that's what a fan loves to see. You don't want to go home.
I don't know. I somewhat like the idea of a 1-0, 2-1 games, a pitcher's duel.
Yes. In the ballpark, though. I'm saying in the ballpark.
Oh, in the ballpark.
Yeah, in the ballpark. You don't get the commercials. Just keep going for that beer.
I think the drama can be the same, even on television, with a tight pitch game. And it's amazing when you take a look at the box scores or on retrosheet.org, slight plug to a supporter of Sabre. Retrosheet has all the past games, and you take a look at some of the no-hitters. The opposition pitcher is pitching close to a no-hitter. It's amazing how they mirror one another. I think that drama translates on television just as well as being live in box seats, or for those of us who can afford the upper deck of stadium.
Well, the only thing I can afford is the last 6 rows of the upper deck in Yankee Stadium. The last 6. But those are actually good seats. There are no seats in either of the no bad seats in either of the new New York ballparks.
Yeah.
But you are a little far away from the action.
Yeah. You are. But I'll tell you, between the two ballparks, again, I'll have to tip my hat to the New York Metropolitans. I prefer Citi Field to Yankee Stadium.
Right. But that's the only good thing you'll see in Citi Field.
Well,
you won't see good baseball.
Well, if you like Double-A ball.
That's harsh. No, that is harsh.
Well,
I mean, this is a big deal.
It is,
and coming up in the next season.
We're going to see.
They hire this rookie manager. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Let's see what he can do. He's coming in as a pitching coach. It's clear that the Mets bullpen needs help. The starters who were to carry the Mets, if we read the preseason inside dope,
all 6 went down.
All 6 went down, but they were supposed to carry the Mets into the glory land, and it didn't happen due to injury.
Overuse.
Also, I don't know whether we should indict the New York Mets medical staff. Maybe it's time to, show those guys the door, bring in some new trainers, new medical staff. Let's have wholesale change.
They should bring in somebody who knows how to pitch to be the pitching coach.
Well.
Really?
Let's
like
see.
They had Tom Seaver as a pitching coach for a very brief time, and nobody liked Tom Seaver and nobody likes good pitchers as pitching coach. Johnny Sane would wear out his welcome everywhere he went. Remember?
I do, but he owes. He really, Denny McLain was the last 30-plus game winner in Major League Baseball, and probably the last.
Yeah.
And it's due to Johnny Sane. Because Johnny Sane knew how to communicate the concepts, the skills, the talents to his pitchers.
Pitchers
Jim
could
Catt
identify with him.
Yeah, Jim Catt identified with his coach, Coach Sane.
I mean, why isn't Vida Blue a pitching coach, for example? One of the great left-handers of the 70s, and then Dave Righetti, who was one of the last pitchers to be a pitching coach for many years with the San Francisco Giants.
Yeah.
But
Well,
the statisticians cannot tell what's in a pitcher's heart and what's in his arm and what's needed. And as Spani said, I always go back to this, you have to throw the ball and do your running.
Yeah.
You know, you have to throw every third day,
Yeah.
and then you'd be ready to start on the fourth day. Nobody starts on 3 days rest anymore.
Yeah. Bill Monbouquet, the late Bill Monbouquet, told me that, who pitched for the Red Sox and was a coach for many decades in the Detroit Tigers organization. That's what he would have his pitchers doing, running and throwing.
Right.
Yep.
You have to work that arm, and his pitch counts. That's exactly when that separates the old pitchers from the new. The old pitchers would get tired in the sixth inning, just like everybody. My daughter used to lose it in the fifth, but she'd have to pitch through that bad fifth inning. And but that's what you do. You always have that crisis point where the arm gets a tad fatigued and you're up a little or down a little or wide a little. But not that I've ever pitched, but I watched it a lot. So.
Yep. Well, you know.
So you've got to have that heart to get through it, right?
Yep.
Hard to get through
Hard
it.
to get through, but it gets back to sabermetrics. I can't blame Dave Roberts when he pulled his pitchers. I mean, the last game.
He was mad.
Yeah, yeah. You're talking about Hill. Yeah, that's a great story. The Dodger pitcher Hill there, having played in the independent leagues, and then boom, he's in the show. That's a nice touch to the season.
What's your take on IP? No, IR. Instant replay.
Instant replay. Oh, for a second there, I thought we were talking about injured reserve.
No.
Instant replay. Well, again, baseball purists, I like to see it go. I like
think
the
the
human
umpire
element.
sees it real time.
Yeah. So you support?
I do not like instant replay at all. No arguments anymore.
Yeah.
No more kicking dirt on umpires' trousers.
Yeah.
No more throwing the cap. No more kicking the cap. No more going.
Yeah.
That was a big part of baseball, rhubarbs. But
it was a motivating factor. There were managers, Earl Weaver, Billy Martin, who would employ that, and yeah, sure, they get ejected, but their players would then be charged to show up the opposition.
Nobody's turning over buffet tables because there's no break in between doubleheaders anymore. They're all singleton games. So another thing that's been lost.
Yeah.
But so where does baseball go from here? Do we like the automatic intentional walk?
Yeah, I think.
Do.
No, I don't.
You don't?
You're asking me where it goes. I said no. I would think that baseball would do that. Just like I think we're going to see soon. We're either going to see baseball in Montreal again, baseball in Portland, or quite possibly Charlotte. We're going to see expansion. They're going to add on. That's the Johnny V prediction for as we close out the 2017. Yeah.
You heard it first.
Yeah, we're going to go head back north up and put a team there in Montreal and, like I say, Portland or Charlotte.
If Montreal gets a new ballpark.
That's true. So I guess the mayoral race in Montreal will dictate, because both candidates are on the side of that issue. It's just a question of when. One is saying later on, the other is saying now. So it's only a matter of time.
Well, I always felt Montreal got a terrible deal when they moved them out of there to, what was it, Miami, was it?
Washington.
Washington.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The Nationals.
Yes.
A team that just keeps breaking the heart of denizens in the District of Columbia, getting into the playoffs and just not doing anything.
They hired a new manager.
They hired a new manager. They may lose their Bryce Harper. He's going to go to I don't know.
Yankees.
Why would the Yankees buy a bat that big with that much of a contract? I mean, you want a prediction, Bull? Here it is. Manny Machado. Wearing the pinstripes, not Bryce Harper. A prediction sure to go wrong, but I'm going to stick with it.
Hitters. They need more singles hitters to get on before the big boppers.
Yeah.
Which was always the Yankee problem.
You got a big bopper in right field now, and he's got his own court chamber.
54 homers did he hit, or 50? Was it 50?
I just know it was more.
That's astounding. Yeah. It really is.
And I have to say, I was not a believer prior to the All-Star game with Aaron Judge. I thought it was just simply Yankee fans getting overexcited.
He had a bad July and August and then came back. I don't know. Maybe the batting coach was finally to get him to listen and lay off the what were they getting him? I think they were getting him out on the high junk.
Yeah.
But, they certainly handled him in the playoffs. Yes, but except for when he reached back for that little something extra and won that game against Houston. A fantastic game. Shows it's never over.
No.
As what this season pointed out, it's never over. That's why it's the greatest game. Okay, let's see. There was one other thing. Television. Any comments about television coverage?
Television coverage
of baseball.
Well, we knew I think Fox really milked it for all it was worth with regards to who of their talent pool was in the stands or and so forth. So we'll probably see more of that. The interesting thing think back to 2013, and here's a stat again. It's amazing how Houston built itself, and now in 2017, it's the world champion. 2013, the Houston loses its 105th game to the Cleveland Indians, and the television ratings in Houston are 0.0.
Nobody watched it.
Nobody watching it. Nobody. 4% of the population believes lizard people control our government. So it gives you an idea of, wow, nobody's watching the Houston Astros. And it just goes to show you, maybe you have to hit rock bottom so you can break everything up and to build up. So the question is, who currently, closing out the 2017 season, is at rock bottom and is going to follow suit with what the Astros did, what the
Mets.
done. I hope so, but the thing I keep coming back with is perhaps Major League Baseball should step in and behind the scenes examine whether or not the right ownership group is currently owning the Mets, given the Madoff
forced out after that.
The Madoff scandal.
They bailed him out with payroll secretly. I mean, it's a disgrace the Wilpons still are allowed to own that team because remember they threw Steinbrenner out for a little shenanigans with Dave Winfield. And
it doesn't make sense because New York, so good. It's been named. It's named twice, but the television revenue, the merchandising, the things that the Mets should be able to keep pace with the Yankees. This has been a National League town historically, and as much as people embrace the Yankees, you take a look at the numbers in the 50s, the 60s. 70s. The
Mets were
somewhat.
The Mets have ruined their mystique by some really bad, stupid decisions. Firing Willie Randolph, who was a good manager, and hated it when a player like Jose Reyes loafed it to first base, and that's I think why Martin was fired, because he demanded full dedication. And he wasn't that bad a manager. In fact, he should have gotten another job.
Willie, he should have.
Missing the pennant by a couple of games, right? 2 years in a row, right? But speaking of managers, what do you think about the Girardi castaway by the Yankees? It's hard to explain, isn't it? Reminds me of when they fired Casey Stengel after 10 years after the 1960 World Series. And I hope that's not an omen, because that led to a long Yankee
Unless they have someone in mind that they already have identified.
Well, now if they're going, the ripe, really good, tasty fruit has been already picked. You know, so I don't know who they want to bring in. Somebody who will be more. And does Cashman stay? That's another big question. Was Cashman just being the good guy and just following through and taking the hit instead of Hal Steinbrenner announcing it?
Yeah.
When George Steinbrenner made announcements, he made them in person. Hal was afraid to do that.
Yeah. Well,
Hal, I thought Hal did a good job the last couple of years with this club as an owner, but now I'm really wondering, is he preparing to sell the team? Now it's got up to a certain point. He sells, he gets out with billions.
Mm-hmm.
And the Yankees are the richest franchise in sports.
Yeah.
And so we don't know what his motives are.
Yeah.
So, any last words you want to say on what was probably the greatest baseball season of all time? I think it was the most attended. It's still the highest attended sport. Other than sports car racing.
It's an affordable sport of the four majors, whether it be football, basketball. You get the most value for your baseball ticket.
John, Houston built a team in a special way. Could you tell us the pieces that they put together and the uniqueness about this team?
Well, I'll tell you, John, let me go with the building aspect, because 2013, you look at rock bottom for the club. They basically traded for Verlander. They bought Brian McCann from the Pinstripers. Carlos Beltran, Reddick is another purchase. Carl Morton, the pitcher, he's a prospect, homegrown, Dallas Keuchel.
What a find!
And then you talk about the club, and I think this is why they're holding the hardware, is the unity of this club. I mean, Alex Bregman, a player, a Jewish ball player. He goes and learns Spanish so he can communicate with Jose Altuve and Carlos Carrera.
What a great gesture.
And each player, I understand, in their locker, they have a picture of a flood scene in Houston. And many of them have said, when they've spoken to the media after a bad game, it's like, well, I went for 0 for 4 today, but it's nothing like what my fellow neighbor or a fellow Houstonian has gone through. So this is a team that was focused on what it was to do on the field, and also the broader concept of what they meant to the city of Houston.
Houston strong. Oh, one question. Why do you think no baseball players have taken knees on the anthem? It's a good question.
That is a good question.
Nobody's even pointed that out.
Yeah.
Because baseball is the American game.
There is an Oakland Athletic who has been talking about that topic. His name evades me at this point, but I guess that's a subject for another people to be heard.
Yes, and we have just used up the fastest 20 minutes I've ever had. John Vorperian, White Plains Television Dean, handling Beyond the Game for how many years?
Since 2002.
2002. And when are you on?
Tuesdays and Friday nights, wpcommunitymedia.org. The schedule's right there.
Okay. John, thanks a lot. I love doing this with you every year.
Thank you.
John Bailey, or rather, Bull Island. Good night for people to be heard.